You're watching on air. You're on air.
All right, well, we are on the air, and I'd like to welcome you to our July regularly scheduled school board meeting. And please know that all voting school board members are present, and one non-voting school board members here, Lucian Farrell. We're glad to have him. Ava, the other representative, could not be here. She's away in camp. And of course, our superintendent is here as well. So at this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and right now, would you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you very much. If you're able, stand with me as we say the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Item C is to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis seconded. All in favor, let me know by uplifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item C is adopted. Item 2 is communications, and the recognitions are going to be just a little different this time.
Yes, sir. If everybody's okay with this, if all the board members will join us over here for what's about to take place.
So I'm about to do something I've never done before. I'm about to do something that's never been done in the state of Kentucky before. So you guys are here for a historic moment. Tonight, we're going to recognize a Paint Lick Elementary archer who is now a national champion. We'd like to recognize Eli Lamb. So Eli, please come up. Eli competed in the NASP Archery Championship Tournament in June with his Paint Lick Elementary School archery team. This competition in Daytona, Florida, brought the top archers from all over the country together to compete in the bullseye and IBO 3D competitions. In both competitions, archers shoot 6 arrows in 5 rounds of shooting for a total of 300 points possible. Eli shot an impressive score of 289. In the IBO 3D competition, earning him the title of the 2024 NASP IBO Elementary Boy Champion. The title was achieved by Eli shooting 19 of his 30 arrows as perfect bullseyes, ultimately placing him in first place out of 242 elementary boy archers. Now, I want to point out 242 at that event. In many of the other events, he had as many as 600, 800 kids that he competed against. So this was not a small feat. Eli's win in the IBO 3D Championship makes him the first elementary school archer from Kentucky to ever earn the title since this competition began in 2015. Additionally, Eli had a great performance in the bullseye competition as well. He shot a score of 285, which earned him a 3rd place finish for the elementary boys bullseye competition. Congratulations to Eli Lamb on a fantastic finish to a great season. Board members will stay there. We're going to do something a little different tonight too. Normally at this point, we recognize a staff member, a teacher, and a group of students. And there's a group of people who make that possible. And we felt like it was time to say thank you to them for what they do. So tonight, instead of recognizing our staff, we're going to recognize some businesses who support our students, who support our teachers, who support our staff. So if you'll just bear with us as we go through this. Our first group is to recognize Danville Office Equipment, DOE. And if Scott Bottoms and Derek Lynch will come up. Every month, they provide support for our staff. We're able to select one staff member who we can recognize each month, and DOE always makes sure that they are part of that experience, providing something for our staff. It's a really neat opportunity. And this is one of those neat experiences where you have somebody who's truly regional. Sometimes people claim to be regional, but they only work in the area where they really live. DOE is not part of our community in the sense that they're here as running their business, but they are part of our community because they are here, making sure we have the things that we need. And just as a way of recognizing that, some of you have seen that there's a new desk up front. DOE was instrumental in helping us get to that, so we appreciate what they do. So once again, if you just recognize DOE for what they do to support our schools. Thank you all. Next is Whitaker Bank, and they're represented tonight by Jessica Feig, Lisa Sebastian, and Wilma Floyd. If they will come up. So every month, Whitaker Bank allows us to recognize a teacher of the month. And that's a great experience for us because our teachers can never get enough recognition for all the work that they do. So we appreciate them doing that. Whitaker also recognizes our Teacher of the Year. So it's a neat connection between month to month and for the entire year. And they are willing to do this on a monthly basis all the time. And obviously, it's not the only thing Whitaker does. All of you know how much Whitaker contributes to us, and we're very appreciative of that. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to them. And finally, Farmers Bank, represented by Chris Davis tonight. Farmers has been on board with us from the very beginning. When we first started recognition, we started with students, and it's grown since then. And I went to Mr. Davis and asked if he would be willing to be involved, and he said absolutely. And I contact him every year and say, are you willing to hang in? And he said absolutely. And on a monthly basis, he makes sure that he provides recognition for 5 of our students, 1 from each school. And it's a great opportunity for us to connect with them, but for them to connect with our students. And we appreciate what Farmers does in that way of recognizing our students. So I make life tough on Sydney when I ask all these people to stand over here. So thank you, Farmers Bank, Chris Davis.
For those of you watching on social media may not know it, Eli's mom's the principal at the Paint Legacy. She taught him everything he knows. All right.
SBDN minutes.
Okay, item B is site-based decision-making minutes, and we've got them from all of our schools. I hope my fellow board members have had an opportunity to look those over. Item C is audience comments. Do we have any?
No, sir, we do
We don't
not.
have any. Item D is board member comments, and between now and November, we're going to be sharing some things with you about what's called Amendment 2. It's going to be on the ballot in November. And Amendment 2 basically is an amendment to change the Constitution to say that public school board money or school money can be used for private schools and like charter schools and everything. I think my fellow board members, I haven't talked to them about this individually, but I think we're all opposed to it. I'm opposed to it. And when you see Amendment 2 on the ballot, I'm urging you to vote no, because it will take away money from public schools. Anyway, between now and November, you're gonna hear more from us about that. Anybody else? Any other board members? Then it comes to our superintendent.
So I was going to share just the fact that, as you know, we've now rolled into the beginning of a new school year. Things are underway. We have a retreat scheduled tomorrow for our leadership. So that will be some of the first steps that we'll be taking to finalize some pieces. Our staff is working hard to make sure that they're fully staffed as much as they can possibly be through the process of this year. And we're ready to go. There's not a huge amount of change that's happening for us this year. It's continuation of the work that's already in place and expanding on that. Our principals have led schools in a lot of work this year. Our teachers have done a tremendous amount of work in getting things ready on the front end of instruction, on the back end of instruction. Now we're just going to continue to improve our tier 1 instruction to make sure that we have fewer and fewer kids who need to be in a tier 2 or tier 3 environment. We all know that that's going to make a huge difference. We're looking forward to finding out how our assessments come out this year. We're also working with KDE as they're looking at new assessments moving forward. It's a couple years away, but there's work going on that. So we're contributing as we go through the process with that. So throughout the year, you'll be hearing from each of our schools as we visit each of our schools, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening at the district level. So we'll keep moving in that direction. So next we have our construction update.
Podium out here, so good evening.
Good evening.
Been a lot of activity since we were here last month.
Yes, sir.
We finally started seeing some actual color instead of gray, but it's been a big month. We've had a lot of progress. And Dr. Stoll, if you can freeze it right there, I want to take a few minutes to talk. I'll try not to take up a lot of your time, but there has been a lot of activity. Just to give you guys some high points, we've completed, the contractors have completed all of the brickwork on all of the buildings. That means all the softball buildings and baseball buildings. All of your brickwork is done on those buildings. And they've got it completed on the backstop wall of the softball field that you can see in the top right-hand corner. It's hard to see the backstop wall. And they're actually working on the last side of the baseball. So they should be wrapping up that backstop wall this week. We final graded and transferred over the softball and the baseball field from the site contractor to the field turf contractor. You can see the stone has started going down in the softball field, which is, if you remember the baseball field, that was the process that it worked. Stone first, and then you start seeing turf after that. We completed all of the trim work, the facial work, the gutter work, and the roof panels on the 2 buildings behind the grandstand at the football field, your home locker room and your visitor locker room concession stand. The next phase it's going to be working on that on the exterior will be the metal wall panels. They're scheduled to be in next week, so toward the end of the week. So we still hope to start seeing some of those going on the wall by maybe Friday of that week. We've installed all the curbs at the small parking lot there that's between the student parking lot and the football field. We've completed a significant amount of the concrete sidewalk that separates the student parking lot. As you see down up toward 2/3 of the way up the screen, that darker section of there, that was poured today. So the contractor is continuing to work on past that building in between your existing building and your new building. We've also got the final coat of asphalt and all the parking striping on the student parking lot, which turned out really nice from an aerial view. The contractors have completed all the electrical rough ends and plumbing rough ends in both of those buildings. At the football field, they're working on the mechanical rough ends right now, finishing that up. They did achieve their final rough end plumbing inspection yesterday. So we're good to go there. We can start covering up walls as soon as we get the mechanicals wrapped up in a few days. They've started, as you can see in some of the darker areas around the football field, they've started installing some of the final topsoil. That'll be some of the last part that goes in around that. The asphalt contractor is scheduled to be back on Monday to start the final coat of asphalt on the track and in that area at the bottom of the screen that's gray, between the asphalt on the track and the field. There's actually a trench drain that's in there that had to be installed first. So they'll start infilling that. That's where your high jump and your discus throw is up in that corner. So for the next 30 days, our goal is going to be to continue to wrap up. The field looks like it is complete. It still lacks a little finishing. They've got one more load of the infield rubber that goes down into the turf that's supposed to be on site tomorrow. They're planning on working into the weekend and next week. So our goal is to see how far along they get next week, hopefully wrap that up. As I've shared with you a couple of you earlier before the meeting, this afternoon, we started moving the goalpost down to the fields. So they'll get those set up in the next couple of days, trying to get those in ahead of the asphalt. So once you start seeing the goalposts go in, it'll look like a finished field. It's getting very close. Our goal is to continue working inside the buildings. If you've been by the site, can't see very well from an aerial view, but all of the aluminum storefront and all of the glass is in all of the buildings, including the baseball and softball press boxes. So all your glass is in, and we're starting to weather in. The exterior doors were put on this past week. So we'll start conditioning the buildings within the next week or 10 days and start working on the finishes in those within the next 10 days to 2 weeks. Questions? And we did, as the video shows, you'll see toward the end, it's always at the end, but we did get the first coat of asphalt over the top of the bridge. The base coat is now on the, what I call the north side of the bridge. We've got dirt on it right now, just doing some finished work up around it that'll be swept off before the final coat goes on, but the first coat has gone on the bridge. So we're getting that work done so that the evaluation can be done of the communication lines that are running along Crab Orchard Road.
Thank you.
All we need is everybody keep praying for another month of good dry weather like we've had for the last month.
Hey, we've been praying for rain.
No, not yet. Just in spot at your yard.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. We appreciate you all working with us and understanding. And as always, if you have any questions, you know where we're at.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
And my last item is to always share that we've included any personnel actions that have occurred since the June board meeting. I think as I shared a second ago, we probably have about eight positions prior to today. We added 3 positions today to our transportation area for postings. And I think all but one of the positions at least had some application, which was good. We have one position that we don't have an application for, and we'll be working to figure that one out. So that's where we are with that.
All right, thanks, sir. Appreciate it. All right, item 3 is reports, and of course, the treasurer's report.
You've had a chance to see that. I think I've shared with all of you that Ms. Coffey had indicated an estimated ending point, and we've hit that estimated ending point. She still has a few things to tie up because it's closing out a year. And you'll notice that if you look at the bills as presented today, there's actually 2 attachments. One was for items that were purchased in June, but they didn't arrive until July. The payment had to be made then. That money would be transferred back into the June payables. And then you have the July payables, which you address on a weekly basis anyway. So that's all of that information, unless you have questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir. Item 4 is the consent agenda, and it's a little bit longer this month than it was last month. But if anybody doesn't want to pull anything out or have any questions about anything, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as it's presented.
I'll make a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Smith made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd seconded. Any questions or comments? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. The consent agenda is adopted. Item 5 is the action agenda, and item A is to approve pay applications for the high school athletic fields and facilities.
This month's totals are in front of you. The pay application number is $1,000,000. $86,209.94, plus our fee for Trace Creek. That's all listed there for you. It's my recommendation that you approve the pay applications for the Garrard County High School project.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurt made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Dr. Lamb seconded. Any further comments or questions? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item A is approved. Item B is to approve a change order for the light pole repair.
I know you all never like to hear change order, but this is a no-cost change order to you. There was an accident that occurred that created a small piece of damage to one of the lights. It happened because of a construction mishap. The company that did that will be replacing and repairing the item. And that money that would have gone to them will be transferred over to the company who is fixing it. So there's no issue for you all cost-wise. There's no issue for you as far as the result. What you are being asked to do here is approve the change order so that it falls under warranty. This is an opportunity for us to make sure that we stay protected from this. So it's my recommendation that you approve the light pole change order.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the light pole change order.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Smith seconded. Any questions? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item C is approved. Item D is approved. Item C is to approve second reading for the Kentucky School Board Association policy update.
So as you all know, this is the time where we do a second read and approve the items that have been recommended for change by KSBA. You've had a chance to review those. Normally, we would just make a simple motion and ask you to approve those moving forward. However, there was one policy that requires a specific action, so I'd like to incorporate that into your second reading, if at all possible. The policy was 09.2242 related to medical cannabis. The question that you're being asked there is, will the board allow distribution and use of medical cannabis on school property, or will you not? This is not a law until January. So at this point, in order to allow for more clarification about the legal side of things, do we have any obligation that we're not aware of with this? My recommendation to you would be that we say currently our answer is no to that and make that part of policy. If between now and January it becomes clear that we are legally required to do something, we can certainly return to this and change the policy through two reads. So I don't want to suggest to you that we're at a final point with that, but I think after conversation, this is the appropriate method for us to take. So my recommendation to you is that you approve the second reading of the KSBA 2425 policy update, including a decision not to use or to prohibit the use of medical cannabis on school property.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with a no vote.
With a no vote. Thank you. Dr. Lamb made the motion to approve it with the no vote on medical cannabis. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ms. Davis seconded. Any questions? All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor, and with the cannabis amendment, we approved the policy with that. All right. Item D is to approve athletic trainer contract with UK Health.
We have the contract in place. Your attorney has reviewed it and is satisfied with that contract. There is an $8,000 increase over last year, but it is a necessity for us to have an athletic trainer on site for all of our students throughout the year. So it's my recommendation that you approve the athletic trainer contract with UK Health.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the athletic trainer contract with UK.
Thank you. Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item D is approved. Item E is to approve creation of an athletic marketing and public relations intern position and addition to the pay scale.
So in working with Ms. Arnold, you all were generous enough last year to create 4 student co-op positions for her to utilize. And she did a great job with them, and the students did a great job. But in order to give some more depth and support to the work that happens in our public relations area, we're recommending that 2 of the positions be joined together and move from being a co-op position to being an intern position. Our hope is that intern position can be filled by someone who is at the university level, who would have more time to support the work around the PR area, particularly when it comes to the world of athletics. There's a very specific job description that goes with it that's been attached for you. This is a no-cost change to you. It's simply shifting money from one structure to another. So what I am asking is exactly what's there, the ability to create the position and add it to our pay scale. So it's my recommendation that you approve the creation of the athletic marketing and public relations intern position and its addition to the district pay scale.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move the creation of an athletic marketing and public relation intern position.
Thank you. Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Lamb seconded. All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item E is approved. Item F is to approve emergency certification of substitutes for the upcoming school year.
Each year, we're always looking for additional substitutes, and there are substitutes who can work for us who have not achieved status that makes them clearly allowed to be a substitute. So we can go through an emergency process. Last year, we asked you to do the same thing that I'm going to ask you to do tonight, which is give us your permission to hire individuals who need emergency certification if they meet all the other qualifications that are required. When you do that, we're establishing a board order tonight, and that allows Ms. Young, when she's asked to identify someone in the emergency area, to attach that for EPSB and to have them then tell us that it's okay. I had shared with you all that there had been some changes in legislation and we didn't know for sure if we needed this. We have now secured the fact that we do need this. There are going to be 3 types of emergency certification: a 1-year, a 5-year, and a 10-year. What that means is individuals who qualify for 5 or 10 years, we won't have to come back and ask you for emergency certification of them until their 5 or 10 years is up. Individuals who are just certified for 1, we would have to come back on a regular basis. So it's my recommendation that you approve the emergency certification of substitutes for the 24-25 school year.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Hurd made the motion. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Ms. Davis seconded. Now, this is a blanket, right, for
Yes, sir.
if it's 10 or 20 or?
Yes, sir. And they will not all happen simultaneously. This is why we would like to do it this way, so that we don't have to come back on a repeated basis to ask you for additional approval.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else? All in favor, let me know by uplifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item F is approved. Item G is to approve out-of-state and overnight field trips for the 24-25 school year, pending appropriate paperwork.
Last year, we made this similar request of you. There are occasions where we have students who qualify for an event at a state level or even at a national level, and they may need to make decisions and actually travel between one board meeting and another. Out-of-state or overnight stays require your all's approval. What I'm asking for is your all's permission to make that approval on your behalf, again, as long as the appropriate paperwork is in place and they meet all of the requirements. This is not designed to run interference for somebody who doesn't follow the protocols that are supposed to be followed. These are just for those rare exceptions that occur. So it's my recommendation that you approve the out-of-state and overnight field trips for the 24-25 school year, pending appropriate paperwork.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion that we approve out-of-state and overnight field trip request.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hart made the motion. Do I have a second? Mr. Smith seconded. All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item G is approved. Item H is to approve volunteer coaches for the 24-25 school year.
You may remember that through this last school year, we came to you multiple times and asked for permission to hire coaches in a volunteer role. We would like to use the same process that we've just walked through with this, with the emergency certification and with the field trips for individuals who'd like to volunteer to support our students through coaching. That does not mean that you're approving them to go outside of the norm. They will still have to go through background checks and all of those types of things. There'll be no change that way. We're again just asking for the opportunity to get your permission now to cover that throughout the year. So it's my recommendation that you approve volunteer coaches for the 24-25 school year.
Thanks, sir, and appreciate that clarification. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve volunteer coaches for 24-25.
Mr. Smith made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. the
Dr.
motion.
Lamb made the second. Y'all spoke at the same time. All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item I is to approve application for MPE stop grant.
We have an opportunity to apply for a grant here. I've asked Dr. Gresham if he'd give you a little clarity on this. I've shared some stuff with each of you about this, but I think he can go a little more into a little more depth than I would. So turn the floor over to him at this time. Thank you, Dr. Gresham.
Thank you. So this school district is blessed to have a lot of really good friends, and one of them is a really gifted grant writer by the name of Clay Sloan. And so Clay was writing this grant, MPE stop grant, for another school district. The grant is, the money is provided by the Department of Justice, and it's the basis of this grant is really about school safety. And so Clay called me one day this summer and said, you know, all I've really got to do is pull some of behavior data and some academic data from Garrard County, and I can include Garrard County with this grant as well. So I talked to Dr. Stoll, and we've got it in front of me here tonight to move forward with the application process. Doesn't mean we'll get the grant, but this does kind of suffice that requirement. So the neat thing about this grant, and of course I always ask, what's the match? The match is zero. So this is straight up money that the district would get, no financial requirement from our perspective. So the grant basically looks at school safety from the lens of school safety as a component of it, but it also looks at it through the MTSS framework when it encompasses the students, how they're doing academically, behaviorally, and attendance-wise, as well as our PBIS work. So it's really a really holistic way to make sure that our schools are safe, but also our kids feel safe and supported inside of our buildings. So the grant basically has a financial entity that has stipends. It has a district stipend, an individual that would lead the work, the scope of the work from the district. Then it has stipends at each school level. That would a person that would lead MTSS and PBIS work at the school level, as well as safety work. And then it also comes with a really nice amount of money to be able to kind of train our staff in some social and emotional learning, or the district can make the decision to use some funds to help provide some supplement for character education. So it's about a $250,000 grant over 3 years. Is that the sum of the work, or some of the money? I'm sorry.
Well,
So you have any questions for him?
anybody have any questions?
How many other districts are involved in this grant?
So I think he said there's 5 or 6 schools in Kentucky that he was writing the grants for.
Anything with PBIS, I'm
Yes,
a very big proponent, so.
yes, ma'am.
So if there are no other questions, my recommendation is that you approve the MOA for the MPE stop grant.
Thank you, Dr. Graham, for sharing that. Appreciate it. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the application for the MPE stop grant.
All right. Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Dr. Lamb seconded. All in favor, let me know by lifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item I is approved. Item J is to approve the community education grant for KDE for the 24 through 26 biennium.
So each biennium, KDE makes a determination of whether they're going to offer districts community education grant funds. They have consistently done that. They're doing that again. It's approximately $20,000 each year over the next 2 years, but we need you all to approve us accepting that money. So it's my recommendation that you approve the community education grant for the 24 26 biennium.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the community education grant.
Thank you. Dr. Lamb made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. All board members were in favor. Item J is approved. Item K is to approve surplus welding equipment from the high school agriculture department.
So there's a little bit of surplus welding equipment at the high school in the ag department. And in order for us to be able to sell it, we need you to surplus that. So it's my recommendation that you approve the surplusing of the welding equipment from the GCHS ag department.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the surplus of the welding equipment from GCHSA.
Thank you. Mr. Smith made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. Thank you. All board members were in favor. And that brings us to the last item before we go into executive session.
So it's my recommendation to you that we go into executive session. Anybody who takes a look at this would be able to track this. This is related to property and acquisition or sale of property. So we need to go into an executive session to have that conversation. That'd be my recommendation that you do so.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive session.
Ms. Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt seconded. All in favor, let it be known by uplifted hand. Thank you very much. We are now in executive session. Thank you all for being here. And those of you that are watching on social media, we'll, I don't know how long this will take, but we will be coming back here
We'll
shortly.
leave and go to the.
Oh, we're leaving.
Yeah. Anybody
You all
wants to
stay
stay
here.
can.
Davis made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Dr. Lamb seconded. All in favor, let me know by uplifted hand. Thank you very much. I appreciate your patience. If anybody still stayed with us on social media, but at this time, I'm calling for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Mr. Smith made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hart seconded. All in favor, let me know by uplifted hand. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you for staying. And thank you all if you're still with us on social media.